Okay, we are here to discuss about clinical trials rules, especially 2019. Visible slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great. So these clinical trial rules and regulation, the entire guideline document is divided into acts and rules. Okay, any guideline document or legal document will be divided into acts and rules. Acts are ones which are passed in the parliament when which contains sections. Okay, acts give us provisions to make further rules. Okay, we'll see what does that mean in the later slides. Okay, and rules are formed by state or central government or the governing organization. If an act is related to pharma, then the rules will be formed by DCGI, the Control General of India, or CDSCO. Okay, and schedules are the extension of rules, and appendices are extension of those schedules. So you will understand in a moment what I am trying to say. So as we have discussed, acts are passed in parliament and the act itself gives us a provision to make further rules. So for example, act will tell you what to do in certain situations. Okay, as for example, in the case of drunk and drive, it will say you should be arrested or you should be fined, but it won't say what extent of fine should be imposed or what kind of punishment should be or duration of punishment should be given. And this is given this freedom is given to the state government or governing organization like road transport organization to make their rules up to what extent they should be fined or punished. So the same thing, rules are extension of acts. So 6 months jail if drug inspector is obstructed. So drug inspector has right to conduct inspections in clinical trial sites or pharma industry. So if he is obstructed, the rule says you should be jailed for 6 months. So let's see who frames or reframes these guidelines. CDSCO, Central Drug Standard Control Organization, is the organization which frames these guidelines, is responsible for framing these guidelines, under which DTAP or DCC is Drug Technical Advisory Board and Drug Consultative Committee is a specialized committee which will help build up these all the rules, like how a trial should be conducted, how it should be initiated, how the drug should be imported, everything, each single detail. And this is entirely this comes under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, this entire process. So once these frames drafts are submitted to Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, then the draft is released for public to see and to give any feedback on the draft. So once the review period is over, the final version is released after taking opinions of different stakeholders and making few changes of the draft in the draft. Then the final version is released. So this is basic constitution of that specialized committee. It contains directors and president from different organizations like Pharmacy Council of India, Medical Council of India, Drug Laboratory Kolkata, okay, Research Institute Kasauli, and Veterinary Institute, and they will also nominate few members from industry, like one person from pharmaceutical industry, two government analysts. So this team is responsible for building the rules and regulations. So this team can also appoint a drug consultative committee consisting of two representatives from central government and state government, which will help to tell what is the scenario of that particular state or area. So there is a difference between how the rules, how this guideline document is structured in 2016 versus 2019. So 2019 major update has been happened in these guidelines, and the structure of the guidelines is also changed. So I'll show you in a moment. So until now, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's quickly go to the document and show you. This is entire Drugs and Cosmetics Act and rules. So you can find it online also, and we'll also be sharing you with this document with you. Okay. So to conduct any kind of pharma business in India or to do clinical trials or anything, this is the document you need to refer. So this is a 635 pages document. So supplementary to this, so this was updated up to 2016. Supplement to this is 2019 rules and regulations. So let us see the structure. So the acts, the Drugs and Cosmetic Acts 1940 is up to pages 1 to 30. Okay. And drugs and cosmetic rules are from pages 31 to 546. Can anyone guess why is it so? Acts are so less and rules are many.
Under each act, there will be rules. That is not.
Yeah, true. But why can't we make more acts than rules?
That has to go through government, right?
Yes, correct. Exactly. So any act, that means any new provision, has to be passed through Parliament, and it has to be approved by majority of members there. Okay. Once the act is in place, we can make many rules under it. So coming to this document, there are many acts. So to identify if we are reading acts or not, you need to look at the top of document. It will say Drugs and Cosmetic Act. Okay, so these are all acts related to manufacture, related to Ayurvedic medicines, miscellaneous. Okay, so there are different acts for doing different things. So below this doc, so if you scroll down, drugs and cosmetic rules will start. Okay. So for us, the clinical trials comes under this Import Act, Import of Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So this gives us provision to test new drugs in country and to import new drugs and do clinical trials. Okay. So this is the act under which we are going to, the rules have been framed. Okay. Let me show you in a moment. So this is an act. So if you scroll down, you will be getting rules. So this is the rule related to that act, like import of manufacture of new drug for clinical trial or marketing. So it will tell you what you need to do for application for permission of new drug and to conduct clinical trial on it. So for any new drug to be imported and to be used, you need to do clinical trial prior. So to do clinical trial prior, the rules again divides it into schedule. So it will tell you go and refer schedule Y, because there will be many forms, many tables which will not fit in the single line. So it will tell you to go and refer schedules. Understood up till now? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
This is the application. So this is a rule. 122 DA is a rule. It tells application for permission to conduct clinical trial for new drugs. So it will tell you what is the fees, what is the fees, and what is the timeline, etc., etc. Basic details, but it will tell you to go and refer Schedule I for extra details and other forms. Okay. Now you scroll down. So every rule will tell you to go and see that particular schedule. Now you scroll down and go to Schedule Y. Okay, this is the schedule related to that particular rule. Okay, which rules? 122A, 122B, 122D, and these all rules. So this schedule Y is extension of those rules. Okay. Now this schedule Y will have all the details of how the application should be made, what are the timelines, okay, what are the contents which need to be filled in the applications, and what is an ethics committee, responsibilities of sponsor, everything will be there in this schedule Y. Okay. But schedule Y will not contain forms. Okay. And schedule Y will tell you to report adverse event or say you go and refer appendix 11. So this appendix 11 will contain all the tables and forms which are required to be filled. So again, once you scroll down, you will go to appendix 11. So there are many appendices. So this is a form for reporting serious adverse event occurring in a clinical trial. Okay. So in this format, you have to report to DCGI. your head of DCGI ethics committee, head of institute and sponsor. So this is appendix 12, which has information on how compensation is paid in clinical trial injury. So there are different appendices. So did you get a basic idea of how this document is structured?
Yes, sir.
So, but to read it like this is little difficult, right? So in 2019, what they have done is this document is for entire pharma practice, but what we have seen is for clinical trial related. So in 2019, what they have done is they have entirely separated clinical trial rules and regulations and given a new guideline. Okay, before there was Schedule Y, which contained most of the information. Okay, along with its appendices or forms. But now Schedule Y has been removed, has been discontinued, and 2019 rules and regulations has been put in that place. So this is the 2019 rules and regulations document. So if you download it online, there won't be any bookmarks. We have added bookmarks, so for easy navigation. So here in 2019 document, so initially it will be in Hindi, from later English version starts. First there will be rules. So the like 144D, 122A, these are rule 1, rule 2, rule 3, rule 4. Okay, this is rule numbers. Later, so each rule has been clearly divided according to chapters. Like this is related to definitions, this is related to ethics committee, and this is related to biomedical ethics committee, and this is for conducting clinical trial, their roles and responsibilities. Okay, this is for compensation. So it has been clearly divided into chapters, rules has been divided into chapters, and now the appendix has been removed and only schedules are there for the particular rule. See, for conduct of clinical trial, this is a third schedule. It is related to the rules, rule number 8, 10, 11, 25, 32, 42, and 49. So it contains all the information along with the necessary tables and forms. Okay. So below it is a table. Within schedules, they have incorporated tables and every form required clearly. So now this becomes very easy to read. So up until 2016, the rules were very difficult to be read at least. Now they have simplified the structure and they have categorized clearly so that it is very easy to read and understand by anybody. Okay, if you ask me what is the most important document in clinical trial, this is the most important document in clinical trial, in India especially. Okay. So did you understand the structure of these documents and the difference between both documents? Because this is very important in order to even read this document. No, yes?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts?
So what about NDCT Act? Rule is there, right?
Which act?
NDCT.
Okay. Narcotics Act?
No, Schedule Y has been replaced by NDCT Act.
Yeah, that is the new Drugs and Cosmetics Act 2019, the same thing which I'm telling.
Okay.
So now it's called a new drugs clinical trial rules. That's all. Both are same. Okay. So yes. So any doubts in this structure? Are we clear to move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes. If you have any doubts, please ask here itself, because so this clinical trial rules, so once time permits you go and read the 2016 document as well, have a look and see how you need to navigate it, and concentrate on 2019 document more. So it is divided into 13 chapters, 107 rules, 8 schedules, and 27 forms. This is for your general information. So let's see what each chapter discusses about. So preliminary chapters will tell about various definitions. So defining something is very important. So if you want to define serious adverse event, so it should be defined in the official document in order to quote anywhere. So the definitions are very important. In 2016 document, only few definitions were there, but in 2019 document, many definitions were added in order to remove confusion. So there was no definition for academic clinical trial. What does academic clinical trial mean? So many such definitions has been added in 2019. So these kind of questions you can expect in interviews as well, right? So second chapter will tell you about authority and officers, who is responsible and who is the authority for checking clinical trials. It's DCGI and CDSU. What are the roles they will tell. And third chapter is about ethics committee for clinical trial and BAB studies. Now in 2019 there have been two provisions for ethics committee, registration of ethics committee. Ethics committee needs to be registered with DCGI in order to overlook clinical trials which are happening, which are registered with DCGI. Okay. And for all other biomedical research, ethics committee has to be registered with ICMR bioethics unit. Okay. Like any health research other than clinical trials, new drug clinical trials, any health research, it needs to be registered with ICMR bioethics unit. So you can form two ethics committees, or the same ethics committee can be registered with two units to take care of two responsibilities. So the same thing. So rules will be almost same for both the ethics committees, but the governing body for this ethics committee for biomedical and health research will be ICMR bioethics unit. Got it. And chapter 5 will tell you about conducting clinical trials and BAB studies. Chapter 6 is about compensation in any case of drug related injury. So drug related injury due to SAE, medical negligence, or anything which has been proven related to drug, then a compensation is given to the subject or his representative. So how compensation is calculated, so how the risk is weighed is written in compensation chapter. And chapter 7 is about, so whatever is marked in bold is very important. So you should not miss these chapters. And seventh chapter discusses about how to set up an BAB study center. So which is useful to know, but it will not be useful to you immediately, because as a fresher you are not going to establish any BAB center, but it is good to know. And chapter 8, 9 is about manufacture of drugs, and 9 is about import of drugs, and these are their respective rules. Similarly, chapter 10 is about import and manufacture new drugs and its sale for distribution. Chapter 11 is about import or manufacture of unapproved new drugs or treatment in patients in government hospitals. See, some government doctors in government institutions, government doctors have some powers to import new drugs which are not tested in India on special purpose. If there are no options, by special permission, they can import such drugs. So chapter 11 tells about, gives the provision of that import and how you should import, when you should import. So chapter 12 tells you about how the Drugs and Cosmetic Act was amended and what has been removed. And chapter 13 is miscellaneous, the fees, etc. So these are the schedules. These schedules are related to respective rules. So first schedule will tell about general practice and general principle and practices for trials. Second schedule will tell you about import of drug. Third schedule is very important schedule, which will tell about conduct of clinical trial. So this is the schedule you need to concentrate the most. See, fourth schedule will tell you about requirements of conducting BAB study. So these are the respective schedules we'll see in an overview. And these are the differences between old rules and new rules. So before that, let us navigate through the document quickly. Is it clear until now, or you need any explanation? Or am I going too fast?
Little bit.
Yeah, yes, Abhishek, you were saying something.
Yeah, a little bit was there.
So is there anything you guys did not understand in it till now? Or you did not understand anything?
Do we have to buy out all these things?
No, so this is the important thing, what I've told you in your first class. You remember I told you about knowledge and working knowledge. Let us say you are working in a manufacturing unit, okay, importing new drugs. So which rules you will be mostly concerned with? Of course, rules related to manufacturing, right?
Yes, sir.
So you should be aware as a fresher what will be your roles and responsibilities. Okay. So how you will get to know what are your roles and responsibilities? Tell me.
Through training.
Okay. So one more method is I'll show you now. Go to LinkedIn and search for a job role. Let's say CRC Clinical Research Coordinator will be your basic role. Let us assume. Some filtering is there. Okay. Let's see for clinical research associate. See from good company. So here you will be having your roles and responsibilities, right? Like you should have good clinical practices, data query management, etc., etc. So for CRC job also, if you search, there will be your jobs and responsibilities. So you should have a generalized picture of where that rule is present. If somebody asks you in how many days you should submit an SAE, you should. It's okay if you do not know at that point, but you should know where you should look. So if you have any time visited lawyer's office, you have visited lawyer's office.
No.
No, sir.
You have seen in movies lawyer's chamber, any lawyer's chamber.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in movies.
Yes, sir.
So do you think lawyer knows all those rules?
No, sir.
No, right? But do you think he knows where to look for them?
Yes, sir.
So that's all.
Yeah.
So you should know where to look for the rules. And how do you remember? First you need to remember some basic things like how clinical trial related to clinical trial operations, how you report SAE, what are the timelines, okay, how do you fill feasibilities, all those things. What are the roles and responsibilities of an investigator? So these are the important things, and you will remember by doing by working daily for day-to-day activities. You will be using these rules, right? So anyhow, you will remember. For the rest of the thing, for rare conditions, you should know where you should go and refer. That's all. You don't need to buy hard. Got it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, no one expects you to buy hard 160 pages rules. Okay. So that is the reason I'm going to navigate you through this entire document from the beginning to end. Just let us see key points. What are the key points which are needs to be focused? Okay. Now we have seen that this document is divided according to chapters. So there are few definitions like academic clinical trial. So clinical trial definition we know that we do on a new drug. So that is called as clinical trial. And the academic clinical trial means the same clinical trial for new indication or condition which is done for academic purpose. That means it is not done for releasing the product into market, okay, but done for academic purpose on already available drug. Okay, so we have some other definitions like adverse event means any untoward medical occurrence during treatment with an investigational drug or pharmaceutical product. So providing these definitions here will give us power for anyone to speak. So in general terms, adverse event will not tell you that this during the treatment with an investigational drug, this word will not be present in general definition. Okay, but this definition will give the meaning to what adverse event means in clinical trial situation. Okay. Similarly, there are definitions for what bioavailability study means, what bioequivalence study means. You just need to read it as a story, but 1-2 times to understand. That's all. See, this is the definition of clinical trial. So if anyone asks you in an interview, what does a clinical trial means? If you were able to give this answer, they will be very impressed. Okay. So let me read it for you. So clinical trial in relation to new drug or investigation new drug means any systemic study of such new drug or investigation new drug in human subjects to generate data for discovering or verifying its what clinical, pharmacological, including pharmacodynamic or pharmacokinetics or adverse events with the primary objective of determining the safety, efficacy or tolerance of such new drug or investigation new drug. So this is the definition of clinical trial according to Government of India. So now you are doing any study. So does that fit under clinical trial or not? You can refer to this definition. If it fits into the definition, then yes, it is a clinical trial. So what does it mean by clinical trial protocol? So what should it contain? Is there? What do you mean by efficacy and effectiveness is present? So there is something called as investigational new drug and new drug. The difference is investigational new drug means any new chemical or biological entity or substance that has not been approved for marketing in that particular country. So it is present or it is known working for particular indication, but it has not entered into our country yet. So that is called as investigational new drug. New drug means entirely new drug. The molecule itself is a new molecule. See, orphan drug means the drugs used for rare conditions. How much rare? For the disease which affects not more than 5 lakh persons in India. So pharmacovigilance, you know. So post-trial access means when we do clinical research, so we do it for a particular duration, like for 1 or 2 years. And if the drug is new and it's still not available in the market, but it might be beneficial for the patient in the long run, even after the clinical trial is over. So post-trial access is a program under which the sponsor company continues to give the drug to the patient. But during the post-trial access, only drug will be given, no monitoring or no collection of blood samples will be done. So only the drug will be given for patient's benefit, as patient has been benefiting. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and this is one more important definition. Serious adverse events. So there is a difference between adverse events and serious adverse events. Does anyone know it prior? I'll hide it. No? So family should know.
Life threatening, serious. Serious means life.
So serious and life-threatening, and there are other conditions also. So any medical occurrence and towards medical occurrence or any adverse event leading to death, death or permanent disability or hospitalization, okay, or prolongation of hospitalization, persistence of significant disability or incapacity, congenital abnormality, birth defects, or life-threatening event. So if your any adverse event falls into these criteria, then it should be considered as serious adverse event. So there are other definitions too. And chapter 2 is about authority and officers, who is the regulating body, who is the office under it. Okay, so regulating bodies, Central Drug Standard Control Organization, and its coordinating office is Drug Controller of India. So whenever we write communications related to clinical trial, we write to DCGI office. And who is current Drug Controller of India? Find out. See, chapter 3 tells you about ethics committee for clinical trial and BA/BE study. Okay, that means this is the ethics committee for clinical trial. As I have told you, in contrast to 2016, 2019 has a provision for 2 ethics committees. So ethics committees can function a dual role. So constitution of ethics committee is there. So Farmdish, do you know the constitution of ethics committee, right? No, yes.
Yes.
See, but the ethics committee should have 7 members, okay, from medical, non-medical, scientific, and non-scientific. Medical means medical doctors, clinicians, pharmacologists, okay. So, and along with them, there should be 1 layperson, 1 woman representative, 1 legal expert, and 1 independent member from non-government organizations like social scientists or any NGO organizations. So that kind of person should be present. And the chairperson of the ethics committee should be from outside organization. Let's say Apollo is framing its constitution and ethics committee. The chairperson of those ethics committee, institutional ethics committee, should be from other hospital like Care Hospital. The member secretary of the ethics committee. So member secretary is the person who will be handling communications of the ethics committee. He or she would be responsible. Will be primary point of contact of that ethics committee. Okay. So member secretary will be the person, should be the person from that within institute. Okay. And there is a qualification of who should be the medical scientists and clinical clinicians. They should at least possess a postgraduate qualification in respective areas. And as far as based on requirement, the special if it is for special area which ethics committee lacks expertise, you can call a expert also for that particular meeting. No member of an ethics committee having a conflict of interest shall be involved in oversight of clinical trials. So what it means is, I am doing a clinical trial for a particular company. Let's say any company, X company. Now the X company's proposal has come for the ethics committee, and I am the member of ethics committee as well. So that becomes a conflict of interest. So in that case, I should not be voting for or against that ethics committee, for or against that study, approval of the study, or for any decisions related to study. So did you understand what is conflict of interest?
Yes.
So if there is any conflict of interest, you are a principal investigator or co-investigator of the study, and you are also the member of ethics committee of the same institutional ethics committee, then you need to notify sponsor regarding the same, and you will not vote for the study. And there is information regarding how you are going to register the ethics committee, which forms are used, and what is its validity periods. Validity period is 5 years, sorry, and when you should renew it and how you should renew it. So as I have told you, this will refer you to the schedules which contains the specified forms. Okay, let's see if we can see table 1 of third schedule. This is 152. This is schedule 3 and table 1. Okay, so like this, I've navigated to that particular schedule and table. So this is the information required which ethics committee needs to submit it to DCGI in order to register itself. Okay, like this you need to navigate this document. Okay, got it? So we were at 152. And there are different functions of ethics committee, what ethics committee should do, and what are the qualifications of those members, and how they should maintain the records for how many years they should maintain. So it's for at least 5 years after completion of clinical trial, and they should maintain all these documents like curriculum vitae, constitution of CV members, okay, guidelines, all documents submitted by investigation, final reports, intermediate reports. So everything they have to store. So like this, there are different provisions. Now chapter 5 will tell you about, chapter 4 will tell you about ethics committee for biomedical and health research. So that ethics committee was for clinical trial, and now this ethics committee is for all other studies, health studies. Okay, you are doing a survey on particular condition or such studies, any studies. So this ethics committee needs to be registered with ICMR bioethics unit, and the guiding document will be National Ethical Guideline for Biomedical and Health Research. So this is a document and guideline document which this ethics committee needs to abide to. So the structure and functions will be same of this ethics committee also, but the forms which needs to be submitted, the forms in which it gives approval will be different. That's all. Chapter 5 will speak about conduct of clinical trial. Okay, how do you conduct clinical trial? What is the approval process? So this is the most important chapter along with ethics committee and definitions part. This is the most important chapter in this entire rules and regulations document. Okay. See, in order to conduct any clinical study at a hospital, there are two prerequisites. Okay. One thing is the permission should be taken from Central Licensing Authority. That is, who is Central Licensing Authority here in India?
CDSO.
Correct, CDSO or DCGI. Next is, after sponsor taking approval from CDSO, the investigator should take approval from its institutional ethics committee. So these two things are mandatory. Okay, and apart from that, every person should abide to this rules, clinical trial rules. Right? These are the basic foremost requirements in order to start a clinical study. Okay, and in which form the permission is given to conduct clinical trials, everything is written here. See, now in 2019, along with updation of rules, one good thing which has been done is the approval process or review timelines has been reduced by a large extent. Okay, before it used to be 4 months, now it's like 30 working days, like that. Okay. So now, for the drug discovered in India or research and development of drug that are being done in India, and also drug is proposed to be manufactured and marketed in India. So this rule is for Indian developed or discovered drugs. So these drugs are to be reviewed in 30 working days. Okay, or the permission, if the review process is not completed within 13 working days by CDSO, then it can be assumed that it has given permission to conduct clinical trial. Okay, so either it has to review and get back to you in 30 days for Indian drugs, or the sponsor can start the trial immediately, assuming that it has given permission. So this provision is only there for made in India drugs. So this is a new rule. So for rest of the drugs, it's 90 working days. And no such assumption is there that if you don't get back in 90 working days, then you can start now. And one more thing is, so these are different conditions to conduct clinical trial in India. So one thing is, clinical trial, each site shall be initiated after approval of Ethics Committee and DCGI. And where the clinical trial, so for example, particular hospital does not have any institutional ethics committee, so it can go and get affiliated with other ethics committee, provided it should be located within 50 kilometers radius of that particular clinical trial site. Okay. And all clinical trials should be registered with Clinical Trial Registry of India. Have you opened and seen Clinical Trial Registry of India?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So all the trials should be registered in Clinical Trial Registry of India, and on quarterly basis, sponsor needs to submit his report to DCGI or Central Licensing Authority, and the same report needs to be submitted to Ethics Committee and sponsored by investigator at site. Okay. And 6 monthly status report of trial should be uploaded in SUGAM portal. Now SUGAM portal is a new addition by DCGI. So it has made most of the application process online and brought it under one roof called SUGAM portal. Okay, now all the serious adverse events. So before, when this guidelines was released, the reporting of SAE was still done manually in the table, in format of table 5. Like same as Schedule 11, which we have seen in 2016, there is a format called table 5, but now all the reporting is done through SUGAM portal. Whenever the SAE happens, you immediately report it in a SUGAM portal within 24 hours. So in case of injury, what kind of what kind of medical management should be given, so it's written here. So like this, there are different rules for conducting clinical trials. So the validity for conducting clinical trial, if you approach, is for 2 years. After 2 years, you need to reapply. Understood until now?
Yes, sir.
See, this might be little dry. Yeah, someone is speaking. Okay. So this might be little dry, but my intention is you to familiarize you with this document. Okay. So something is written about academic clinical trial. Again, academic clinical trial is a trial testing the drug for new indication or new route of administration, but its purpose is only academic and not for releasing the molecule into, releasing the drug for that new indication into market. So there's a particular rules. Now part B is for bioavailability and bioequivalence study. So these are also clinical trials, but the objective of BA/BE study is to see the bioavailability and equivalence, how that molecule is absorbed, distributed, metabolized, okay, excreted. So this is the main purpose. This will be the main purpose of this study, to study its BA/BE parameters. Apart from safety and efficacy, is not its main purpose. BA/BE parameters will be the main purpose of these studies. So this is the conditions for BA/BE studies. So the same validity period will be for 1 year. There it's for 2 years. As I've told you, chapter 6 will tell you about compensation. Okay, where any death of trial subject or injury, congenital abnormality has happened and it is related to that particular clinical trial, then a compensation has to be given by the sponsor to the subject or his representative. If he is alive, he will get it, or by any chance he is dead, then it is given to his representative or family member most of the time. Okay. So there is a compensation formula based on which the compensation, how much to be given, is directed by DCGI to sponsor. So I will show you in a moment. So this speaks about medical management in clinical trial or BA/BE studies. So where an injury occurred to any subject or BA/BE in BA/BE study, sponsor shall provide free medical management. So this is very important points here. So sponsor shall provide free medical management to subject as long required as per the opinion of investigator, or till such time it is established that injury is not related to clinical trial or BA/BE study. So in many cases, SAEs happens and subject will be admitted in the hospital, or for example, he has gone into coma, or any myalgia has happened, serious condition has happened, myopathies has happened. Okay, but for 1 week or 3 days, we will not be in a position to establish the relationship between the drug to that condition. So it will take some investigations and etc. So until that time, the sponsor needs to pay for entire medical management. Okay, until it's established. But generally, sponsors pay for entire treatment. Understood? So these kind of rules will oblige the sponsors to make the payment or to take responsibility of medical management. See, to make the relationship, to say that this particular injury or death is related to that clinical trial, okay, these are the conditions. Okay. Either it should happen with the adverse effect of the investigational product, or with the violation of approved product, scientific misconduct, negligence by the sponsor or investigator leading to serious adverse event. Okay, or the failure of investigational product to provide intended therapeutic benefit. So in protocol, we expect that it will reduce cancer to this extent, or it will reduce the disease by this extent, but it has not worked up to the extent due to which the disease has progressed and patient needed to be admitted in hospital as an SAE. Okay, not providing the required standard of care though available to the subject as per clinical trial protocol in passports. Again, it's a protocol violation. Okay, and also due to adverse effects due to concomitant medication excluding standard of care necessitated. So if the subject is having pain, so you have given tramadol, and there has happened serious side effect with tramadol. So in that case also it is considered as an SAE. Okay, and this tramadol use is approved in the protocol. Okay, it's a concomitant medication. And another example is zoledronic acid. So in medication, along with the main drug, zoledronic acid is described in the protocol in order to maintain bone density. Even with the side drug or concomitant medication mentioned in the protocol, any adverse events happen, then that is considered to be related to the clinical trial. Okay, and again, any clinical trial procedures involved, like taking biopsies or doing CT scans, contrast CT scans, any adverse events happen, then the SAE is to be related to clinical trial. So now we have understood that not only relation to the product, but also by misconduct or by concomitant medications or by procedures, we can establish that particular side effects has been related, SAE has been related to clinical trial. Understood? Yes.
What if the patient dies because of his own morbidity? I mean, because of his disease condition? will he be liable for compensation?
No. So if it dies due to disease condition or the disease has progressed, then no.
Okay.
But still that is considered as an SI. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Any injury that is considered as an SI, but the discussion will be will he or she will be able to get compensation. Okay. So that will be the question. Any other questions here? So this is how a serious adverse event is handled by site, sponsor, regulatory authority and regulatory authority. So what happens is site should send or investigator should send the initial report within 24 hours of occurrence of SAE or after he knows about. So sometimes patients may not be in a position to inform them about the SAE. So you got to know after 24 hours. So you should report it immediately after your knowledge. But the guideline says you should report it within 24 hours of occurrence of SAE, not your knowledge, occurrence of SAE, right? So and once it's reported to, you should report it to ethics committee, sponsor, head of institute, and regulatory authority within 24 hours. And later you will report it to within you will send the 14-day report or follow-up report, final report to same all these parties. Okay, then the ethics committee will send its own analysis report to DCGI, and sponsor will send its own analysis report to DCGI. Now DCGI has internal team, so within particular time period it will analyze the report and it will find out whether the SAE is related to study drug or not, and it will give the judgment or pass the rule that they should pay, sponsor should pay the subject so and so amount. Okay, that is how a SAE is analyzed. Understood? So this entire paragraph will tell you about what are those timelines, in how many days it will be analyzed, etc. So now the SAE reporting process is in Sugam portal. Okay, so there are little differences where how death is handled and how permanent disability or injury is handled. Understood till now?
Yes.
So chapter 7. So this is, you can read it for your own information, but this is not an important chapter for you as of now as a fresher. So this is regarding bioavailability and bioequivalence study center. So what are the basic requirement of that study center, how it's been granted, what are the fees, etc. Okay. Like this chapter 8 is again about manufacturing of new drugs. Chapter 9 is about import of drugs. So up till now we have covered most of the important chapters, right? Now one more important thing in this chapter is labeling. So you are importing a new drug or using a new drug in clinical trial. So what should that label contain is written here. Okay. It should contain name of the drug, batch number, lot number, date of manufacturing, storage condition, name of the institute or organization where it is used. Okay, so these information must be present in the label. So these are the minimum required informations. So there is particular specification under which there are some countries which is India's recognized as associate countries which are following good rules. So if the drug is approved and marketing in such countries, okay, approved in that country, then the clinical trial need not be conducted in all the clinical trial need not be repeated in India. You can do phase 4 post marketing study just to see safety parameters. Okay, so your homework is to find out what are those countries are. Let's say I'm saying 2 countries like US and Japan. If it's approved in these countries, then there is no requirement to do entire clinical trial in India. But DCGI might tell you to do at least phase 4 study to check the safety. Is this drug safe or not? Got it? See, so chapter 11 speaks about importing of unapproved drugs by the power of government hospital or government medical institution. So medical superintendent of any government hospital has the power to import unapproved new drug in emergency conditions or life-threatening disease conditions. Okay, even if it's not, if the clinical trial has been not done in India, it can import directly from outside with proper application to DCGI under form CT24. Okay. Now the schedules have started. So this is the extension of rules 19 and 31. If you go to rule 19, it will, in any point, it will be written that go and refer first schedule. So important part here is, so can anyone tell me what is phase 1 study? Just define it.
Phase 1 study is usually conducted to know the safety and tolerability of the drug, sir.
Okay.
And it is conducted in healthy individuals, sir.
Okay. So
and they will use the less subjects, sir, like 50.
Okay. Okay. Good. So this clinical trial rule document defines phases of study beautifully. So if you could remember this, or if you could define it like this, it will be very good to see. So this is a definition of entire phase 1 study. Okay. See, let us see. The objective of study in this phase is to estimation of safety and tolerability. Okay, with the initial administration of an individual new drug into humans. Studies in this phase of development usually have non-therapeutic objectives. So phase 1 we are not doing in order to test the efficacy of the study, but we are doing it to see the initial safety and tolerability, okay, which may be conducted in healthy subject or certain types of patients. Okay, if this drug is directly related to only that patients, then if it's meaningful to do the trial in only certain type of condition, then they will do on certain type of patients as well, apart from healthy individual. Okay. So again, phase 1 trial should be carried with trained investigators, etc. And the objectives are this: you are going to test what? Maximum tolerated dose, pharmacokinetic parameters, pharmacodynamic parameters, and measurement of drug activities. So if someone asks you what is a phase 1 study, you should be able to answer in this detail. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this will really add value to your answer as well. And opposite person will feel like, yeah, they know the subject in depth. And similarly, there are definitions and purposes of phase 2 study. Okay. See, again, phase 2 trials are to evaluate effectiveness of a drug for particular indication or indications in a patient. Now you are trying to see the effectiveness of a drug. Now in phase 1 you have tested safety, you have found that it is safe, particular dose, but now you are testing the efficacy of the drug and to determine short-term side effects and risk associated with the drug. Studies in phase 2 should be considered in a group of patients who are selected by relatively narrow criteria leading to relatively homogeneous population. All that means is the population which you are selective should be homogeneous. That means if you are picking a disease condition, you should have a narrow criteria. Like in this particular disease condition, you are taking diabetics. So you should pick a range, HbA1c levels of from 6 to 9, like that, and age from below 50 years, like that. You should narrow down the criteria so that the population is relatively homogeneous. And the important goal for this is to determine dose and regimen for phase 3 studies. Now here you are determining the dose as well. Coming to phase 3 studies, primary objective is demonstration or confirmation of therapeutic benefits. Now in phase 3 studies, you will be testing on larger number of patients and you will be confirming whatever the efficacy which has been performed in phase 2 is correct and whatever dosage which has been selected in phase 2 is correct. Okay. So this will take a lot of time in India phase 3 studies. And phase 4 is after phase 3 study, the drug will be released into market and phase 4 study will be initiated, that is post-marketing trial. Post-marketing trial can be done in two ways, like in post-marketing survey or proper trial, especially in oncology or specialized areas where the drug will be gone through proper trial, like phase 4 clinical trial will be conducted. In other areas, DCGI might tell you to collect through ADR forms or from market what kind of side effects are happening, etc. If the data is not sufficient, if they feel that this will not work, then DCGI will tell you to conduct proper phase 4 study, doing a clinical trial in control setting. Understood?
Good.
And again, this is okay. So this is a point where special situation for new drug where relaxation, aberration, omission or deferment of data may be considered, means accelerated approval. What happened in what condition recently?
COVID.
Correct. So if you read it, you will understand in what condition accelerated approval process will be given. Generally, for approval process, it will require certain kind of data from one phase to second phase, second to third phase, or even for starting clinical study in humans, you require certain amount of animal data. So even with limited data, under which conditions the accelerated approval is given is this. So go through it patiently, you will understand. So there are a whole lot of parameters here, right? And in animal toxicological studies, non-clinical studies, what kind of studies will be done to test for toxicity is written here. And so these are the single dose toxicity study, repeated dose systemic toxicity studies. So at what dose periods given, what time periods given, how you establish the dose to be given in humans. Okay. So it is given, and fertility studies, female reproductive studies. So all these are done in animals, and what parameters are tested is given here. So like this, and this is the table which tells you how it is done, and this data where it will be useful in clinical trials. Okay, and in how many species you should do it and for how long. This is the test name, parameter name. Okay, so like this information will be present. So in urine analysis, what is tested, in CBP, what is tested, etc. Okay. Let us quickly go to table 3, schedule 3, sorry. So this is the most important schedule for you currently, and it relates to this following rules. Okay. This schedule is related to conduct of clinical trial. And again, clinical trial will be conducted according to Act and rules, that is common, and permission should be obtained from DCGI, EC, that is there. And it will tell you what is informed consent is about. Do you guys know what is informed consent? So
Yes, sir.
so what is it?
It is given for the subjects who are participating in clinical trials.
Okay, so
Uh,
okay,
it contains all the details regarding the drugs which they are going to receive, and including the risk also, and it will be explained in their own language.
correct, perfect. But the important thing here is voluntary informed consent is required. Okay, it should be given freely, not coerced. Okay, with free will and voluntarily. These both terms are very important. And in this paragraph, it will be stating what. So how do you know it is given voluntarily?
He should not be influenced through money or any other means.
Yeah, correct. So in case of, this paragraph will tell you, in case of uneducated patient or illiterate who cannot read or write, what should be done. Okay, in case of minor or in case of vulnerable subjects, what should be done. So this is the paragraph about informed consent. Okay, so subject consent must be obtained in writing. The keyword is freely given informed consent. This is must. Okay, and informed consent has two parts: patient information sheet and a consent sheet. Patient information sheet will tell about all the information related to study, and at the end of it will be attached actual signing part, that is called an informed consent part. Okay, so the subject consent must be obtained writing using an informed consent part form, and usually and this informed consent form along with all other documents must be approved by ethics committee. Okay, it will be approved by ethics committee prior giving it to subject. So EC will read all the points and then it will give its approval. On the approved informed consent form, you are going to take informed consent of that consent of the patient. Okay, see, it should be approved by ethics committee and submitted to DCGI before any changes are made. So let's say, for example, new side effects have come up, discovered in the ongoing trial. Now what the sponsor will do is they will include that side effect, list of side effect in the ICF. Now the new ICF needs to be submitted. Let's say version 2 is ongoing, now version 3 has come. The version 3 has to be submitted to DCGI by the sponsor, get it approved, and now they have to submit it to ethics committee. Okay, institutional ethics committee by PI. So institutional ethics committee will approve that ICF. Then only the investigator can use that version 3. Until then version 2 needs to be used. Okay. An important point is, where a subject is not able to give informed consent, either unconscious, minor, suffering from mental illness, the same may be obtained from legally acceptable representative. A legally acceptable representative is a person who is able to give consent for or authorize an intervention in the patient as provided by law of India. So who will be your legally acceptable representative? Will be most of the time your guardian or your blood relative, like your mother, father, husband, sister, brother. So in these vulnerable patients, or in the patients who are not able to give consent on their own, if they are not in a position, then LAR should be used, legally acceptable representative. Okay. If in the case the subject is perfectly all right, but is illiterate, then impartial witness should be used. Okay. Impartial witness is someone who is not related to the subject or not to the hospital or institution. His role, he should be able to read and write. His role is to witness what is being said to the patient is written in the informed consent form. Okay. And if in the case LAR is also illiterate, so the patient is unconscious and the decision is upon her father to put her into clinical trial or not, then he can understand and he can take a decision, but he is also illiterate. Then in that case also impartial witness is required. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So earlier came a rule that AV consenting was required for audio video consenting. So during this entire process, in some studies, audio video consenting process is done. That means entire this process, explaining of the clinical trial, patient signing that sheet, okay, is done in front of camera. Okay, so this audio video consent is mandatory for new chemical entity or new molecular entity, including procedures provide information to subject and is understanding as such consent. So for many molecules, new chemical entity which has come into the market, so for such molecules, AV consenting is mandatory. Or for biological molecules or for any vulnerable special studies like anti-HIV studies, okay, in that case, showing without showing patient's face, only audio recording is required. Okay. And here is listed various responsibilities of each stakeholders. So what is the responsibility of sponsor? So sponsor has entire responsibility of clinical trial. So sponsor is the person who is responsible for entire clinical trial. Okay. His responsibility is to implementing, maintaining quality assurance system to ensure that clinical trial is conducted and data is generated according to good clinical practices and applicable regulations. And of course, they need to submit status reports periodically. They need to report side effects. They need to pay compensation in case of injuries. They need to take care of all medical management in case of SAs. Okay. And here is the responsibilities of investigator. So responsibility of investigator is entire responsibility of the clinical trial conducting at its hospital. He is the responsible person for that entire trial at his hospital. Okay. And he should abide to GCP rules, this clinical trial document rules and protocols. Okay. So investigator should ensure that adequate medical care is provided, all serious adverse event is reported. Okay. If in the case he fails to report, he should report within speculated time. So he should provide the particular reason why he has failed to report. So who do you think does most of these jobs at clinical trial site?
CRC.
Yeah, true. So CRC will assist investigator in typing all those documents, preparing the reports, and most of the time investigator will review it and correct it where it is required and sign it and send it. Okay. Though investigator is officially sending it, most of the time and most of the work is being done by CRC. And here are the responsibilities of ethics committee. So ethics committee reviews and accords approval to clinical trial protocol. It is responsible for entire patient's rights, safety and well-being. Okay. Ethics committee should have standard operating procedures. It should review and give approval for trial protocols or any ongoing SA reporting. They should review. So after schedules comes all the tables. So I have shown you this table. So let us see table 5. So this is the informed consent form. So any sponsor who is wants to do clinical trial India has to follow this format. So these are the essential elements which needs to be present in informed consent form. Okay. What is it? The statement that the study involves research and explanation of the purpose of study, expected duration, description of procedures, description of any foreseeable risks and benefits. Okay. Description of specific alternative procedures. Let's say I am giving the drug nivolumab or any drug. So if I don't take the drug, what will be my alternative? Okay. You should not tell that this is the only thing available. So they should also write about possible alternatives if you don't come into the study. You should write about confidentiality and extent to which how you are going to mask the subject's identity. Okay, how you are going to maintain the confidentiality of the subject, medical records, etc. Okay, and you should tell about financial compensation and TADA which is paid for travel allowances, and explanation in case of trial related injuries, how you are going to manage them and whom you should contact. Okay, so these are the essential element which needs to be present in informed consent form, and these are the additional elements which may be required in certain cases. Okay, so this up from here to here is called as patient information sheet, and the second part is called as informed consent form. So you collect study title, study number, subject initials, subject's name, etc. You collect qualification, occupation, all, and subject reads every point here and puts his signature. Like I agree to not restrict, and that means I give permission to use my data. Okay, I agree to participate in study, like that. And here is the signature of investigator, signature of study investigator's name. Okay, so here it has been here this format. So at the end, subject will sign here and put his name and date. Okay, later investigator will sign and put his name and date. Okay, so if the subject is illiterate, then impartial witness will sign, signature of impartial witness will sign, and subject will put his thumb impression. Understood?
Yes.
So these are different tables, like undertaking by investigator is required. This undertaking is given by investigator to the sponsor, like I will follow all the rules and regulations, I will maintain confidentiality, so basic points. So table 5 is essay reporting form. So in all over India, this is the format, or this is the basic information you need to report to DCGI in an event of essay. Okay, like patient details. So always you will not write patient name when sending to sponsor. Okay, you will mask the patient name. Only patient number, subject number will be given. That number will be shared. Patient name only doctor knows or the study team knows. Okay, information about suspected drug, when it was started, when it was stopped, what are the concomitant medications, and details of serious events, when the serious adverse event started, how did it start, how did it affect the patient, and what was the outcome of that serious adverse event. So in detail you will write. So this is the format. So as we have told you, you need to report. You need to prepare quarterly reports to submit to EC, and sponsor needs to submit to DCGI, right? So this is the format of submitting the clinical trial report. So who is the study team? What was study objective? So how many subjects were enrolled? All those things. So investigator brochure is a document which has you know about investigator brochure, has it been discussed? So study protocol, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like study protocol tells you how to do that trial, but investigator protocol gives you information about background of that study drug, right? So what are the contents? What should be present in this investigator brochure? Like looking at this document, go online and find a study, and you can prepare your own protocol, investigator brochure like this. It can be a good activity, learning activity. So all this information. So like this, different rules are present. So to do clinical study, okay, to do clinical study or establish a clinical trial center, what are the BA, special BA/BE studies, what are the basic requirements at that particular site is given here. Okay. This section speaks about it. You should have standard operating procedure, you should have proper clinical pharmacological unit, record section, storage section. Okay. See, as I've told you, phase 4 may be conducted in 2 ways: doing proper clinical study or collecting the data from market observational, like through observational non-interventional methods by active surveillance. There is something called as periodic safety update reports. It will contain all the side effects which has been generated throughout the study, and periodically you need to report it. Sponsors usually report it to sites as well as to the DCGI. So once it's given to the sites need to report it to ethics committee. So what is its structure and all, it's given here. So by reading all these rules and regulations and all this document, you will get an idea in your mind. So how clinical trials are done in India, what are the forms routinely submitted, how are they submitted, what are the timeline, and what will be the roles and responsibility of a CRC or investigator, etc. So by reading this one document, you will get maximum idea of clinical trials. And along with this, we'll also do a lot of activities. And these are some fees for applied by sponsor to get permission conducting the trials. Okay, so 7th schedule speaks about compensation formula. See, this is a compensation formula in case of trial related death. So this you will not be calculating, any of DCGI will be calculating and giving it, but it's better to have an idea how it's done. So the formula is B into F into R by 99.37. So base amount is 8 lakhs. Okay. F is factor depending on the age of the trial subject, and R is risk factor. So there are 5 risk factors. 0.1 is given for terminal ill patients, so survival time is not more than 6 months. 1 for patient with high risk, 6 to 24 months. Patient with moderate risk, patient with mild risk, and healthy volunteers. Okay. So however, in case of patients whose expected mortality is 90%, so he's very terminally ill and he is not going to survive, so we have done clinical trial in that patient. Okay, so in that case, if any SA event happens, a fixed amount of 2 lakhs will be given if it's proven to be related to clinical trial. Okay, so this factor, let us see. So this is a factor. So if it's let's say for example our patient is 35 years, the factor will be 197. As the age increases, the factor will decrease, decreasing the amount given as well. Okay. See what was the factor for 35 years? Let's say 197. So can you calculate it now? Our patient is 35 years and he is moderately risk patient. So what would be the compensation? Are you calculating? So the base is 8 lakhs into factor 35 years, that is 197, into risk is 2 moderately, 2 divided by 99.37. So the compensation will be 31 lakhs. Got it? How it's calculated?
Yes.
So this is in case of death. So this is in case of permanent disability. Okay, how it's compensation. So it will be as C into D into 90. So D is percentage disability and C is quantum of compensation which would have been due for payment of trial subject. That means this will depend on how much the patient is earning, his earning capacity per annum. Okay, so again there will be, see here, minimum wage per day, like this. So this is on wages. So again there will be a table. Based on this it will be calculated. Okay, got an idea?
Yes, sir.
Again, these are forms related to ethics committee, applications, etc. used by, you just need to navigate it through it, that's all. Okay. These are all the forms. But today we have covered major part of clinical trial rules, and next section is about differences between previous 2016 and 2019 rules. So these are self-explanatory. I will share you this doc. I'll share you the PDF. You can read it and understand. Okay. So like new definitions has been added. New definition for what is meant by new drug has been modified. Okay. And provision for women members has been updated. And timelines has been changed. And renewal time has been increased for ethics committee. Okay. Like this, many, and a provision has been given for ethics committee to be registered with ICMR, like this. Many changes, so many changes has been made by 2016 to 19, and most of them are very good changes. Okay, so you can see the fees. Previously fees was 50,000 for phase 1, now it is 3 lakhs. So fees have also been upgraded by very good margin. So you know about open book exams, have you heard? At our parents' time, it used to be happening for some degree or some subjects. Like open book exam is a procedure in which book is allowed into the examination hall, and you need to, questions will be given, you need to locate where the section is present, and you need to frame your answer from it and write it. Okay, considered clinical trial rules as same procedure. Okay, you just need to know where the rules and regulations are present, and you need to remember basic rules which are related to regular clinical trial operations, and that's all, you will be good to go. So this ends today's session. If you have any further doubts, you can ask. No, yes. Enough for today. Everyone understood? Or it went above your head? I can see only Abhishek speaking and someone texting. So we are only 20 people. We need to be speaking among ourselves.
Understood, sir.
Okay. So what did you learn in your previous classes? Nothing. So, okay. Anyhow, let me show you about clinical trial toolkit. So, did Hari discuss about clinical trials toolkit? No, yes.
Mm,
No, sir.
Okay, so glad you have answered. See, there is a tool by our government called Clinical Trials Toolkit. You just need to, oh, I stop presenting, sorry. I'm sharing you. So you might have noticed we are not giving any materials to you in this session, right? Have you noticed?
yes, sir.
True. So what is your
Yes, sir.
opinion on it? So what is your opinion? So should materials be given?
Yes, sir.
So see, the reason we are not giving materials is to enable you to develop on yourself. Okay. So whatever contents, so we have structured this module in a way that we have used content most 95% from the open source. So this is available freely online. Okay. So this is CDSCA toolkit. You just need to search in Google. Otherwise, I'll share you the link in your group. So this toolkit has a route map starting from funding of a clinical study, trial setup, okay, doing clinical study. Okay, if you start the route map, I'll show you. Let's say you pick up essential documents, or here, let us say. Okay, you pick up trial setup. Okay. You will have all the rules and regulations related to trial setup, or you pick up essential documents. Okay. You will have all the essential documents which are required. So this site will navigate to you in all steps which are present in clinical trials and will give you necessary rules and regulations related to that particular phase. Is for case record form or informed consent document. If you click on it, it will tell you what are the parts of informed consent form. Okay, what are the points to be kept in mind while developing informed consent form, and different templates to develop informed consent form, and different references for further reading. Isn't it good? So there is a template as well. It's not working. But anyhow, it will act as very good reference point. Okay. You just need to click on each step and you can read about each step in clinical study. How site is identified. Okay, feasibility is done. It is given, and about trial conduct. Okay, how is clinical trial conducted and who is sponsor, how monitoring is done. Everything is present here. So AV consent, how it's given, how documentation is, so how what are communications are required to be made to EC. And each reference is a guideline. You can open and read those guidelines. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Do you think it is useful? Yes. Okay. Any doubts from any classes, previous classes? No problem. So everyone purchase a folder like a proper office binder. You know how an office binder looks, right?
File.
Yes, Office file, big files. Okay. So everyone purchase at least two such files. Okay. And in coming classes, we will start a clinical trial, hypothetical clinical trial. We'll pick up a clinical trial online and we will do it. Okay. Among ourselves, we will enroll subjects. We will give them treatment. We will schedule their visits and we will write essays. Okay. We will do all these things. And all the documents generated throughout the study, essential documents should be filled and filed in the site master file. So that will be called a site master file. Got it? And you maintain your study notebook. You are maintaining this class notes. Yeah, if you get doubt, write it there and there. At the end of the class, you can ask. Or at any class, if you get doubt, time you can ask. So read these rules and regulations. You will be having an assignment based on it. So currently, what assignment are you doing?
GCP certificate.
Okay. So how many of you have completed it? None?
We are told to submit in 2 weeks, sir.
Okay. But if you do it properly, you can even do it in 3-4 days. Okay. It will not take much time. Right. So do you have any further doubts, queries, any suggestions? Yeah, we have time. Or we can close this session. Think for a few minutes and continue. Yes, and one more thing I have to ask. So dental graduates are there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how are we able to follow these classes? Are we on same page or are there any missing points you are not able to understand? Because this is targeted at mainly pharma students. So we tend to assume that you know things, but we may be wrong.
I'm able to follow.
Okay, great. So shall we end the session then?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. On demand of Aswati, we are ending the session. Okay, guys, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.